Back on the Porch pregame show, Zach Bayruti here with our guest tonight, Michael Choice. And Michael, to start things off, a couple of home runs last night, and you helped the team end a 5-game losing streak, and that probably had to feel good for you guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we were struggling at the plate in our series against San Jose, so to see the team put together some hits was huge.
Going back to that game in San Jose, I haven't asked anyone yet, so I'll ask you from a player's perspective. 18 innings, that game was a heck of a game, emotionally draining. How much did that take out of you guys this past week? Because it definitely felt like at the start of the Bakersfield series was a little bit slow, but had to be a heck of a game to play in, but also a tough one to lose.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I mean, I know I didn't regain my legs until probably, 4 days after that, just because, we had to go right to Bakersfield and, play them in, I guess it was a 4-game series.
Yeah.
And, it's tough. So, I mean, the only thing you can do is just take it inning by inning and just give as much as you can every inning of the game.
It's your first full professional season. You're batting .247. You lead the team with 9 home runs, 31 runs batted in. How do you feel you're settling in your first professional season, your first full one?
I feel like I'm learning, which is the biggest part about, the first full season, and mainly just learning how to handle, everything day by day, whether you have a good day at the plate or a bad day, just knowing that the next day you got to hit the reset button and, start all over from scratch. And I mean, I feel like that's one of the main keys to having success in your first full season, is because there's so many games. You got to kind of learn to take every day with a different approach.
You're one of the few people that can actually speak to this, but you were a first-round pick last year. You were the 10th overall pick out of Texas, Arlington. Is there some pressure that comes along with being drafted that high?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, it gets brought up rarely. I mean, you hear it every now and then, but as far as the pressure, I mean, you feel it more towards the beginning of the season because, you hear about the high expectations and you want to do so much better, but, all that has to go out the window, and you got to, put your pants on just like anybody else, because we're all here on the same field, and you just got to go out there and do the best you can.
A big reason the A's selected you that high was because of your raw power, your just natural ability to hit the ball. Have they tried to work in adjusting your swing at all since you've been drafted, or have they pretty much kept it the same since college?
In instructs, we toyed around with, just different loads and leg kicks and toe taps and a lot of that. And, kind of what it comes down to is, you got to go with whatever you feel comfortable with in the game, because if you're trying something you're not comfortable with, you're not going to be successful. The main thing that, we've been talking about is just implementing an approach, That's something that I didn't have coming in is, what am I trying to do as a hitter each at bat, and basically that's what I'm still working on right now, and trying to, go with something that's going to make me more successful every day in and day out.
You can hit for power, and a lot of power hitters think this way. But when you can hit for that much power, do you tend to start working a little bit more on hitting for average as opposed to power, or does that just come naturally?
I try to think of myself as a hitter for average before power, because if you start thinking about power numbers, you're not going to hit for average. You're going to strike out a lot, and you're going to be swinging and missing a lot. So I try to think of myself as a hitter and try to, get base hits, and, the power will come, because a lot of the time, most home runs are accidents, and you're not trying to do it. So if you work on being a hitter, the home runs will come with that.
How's it been playing this year in center field? Has it been a bit of an adjustment? I know in the Cal League sometimes it's interesting, especially nights like last night where there's so much wind, but talk about how you've been defensively this year in your own mind.
I feel like defensively I've gotten a lot better. In instructs, I did a lot of work with the outfield coaches there, because in Vancouver, I had a pretty hard time, getting reads and adjusting and just, the whole 9 yards. And I feel like instructs helped me get a lot better as far as a plan of, what I want to do in the outfield. And here in the Cal League, there is a lot of wind. So, every day can be completely different as far as where you're going to play and how you're going to play certain balls. So, it's all good, a learning experience, because every park's going to be different anywhere you go.
Lastly, I know you probably have a lot of different goals to get to by the end of the season, but if you had to pick one right now, what would your main goal be this year for you?
My main goal at the end of the year definitely was just to feel like I'm a better player at the end of the year throughout my entire game, not just offense or not just defense, but, everything, base running, the mental side of the game, offense, defense, and just have a better feel for, how I'm going to be as a player and what's going to work for me.
All right, Michael, thanks for your time. We'll catch up with you again soon, all right?
Thanks, Zach.
That's sports outfielder Michael Choice. Come back and talk about the starting pitching matchup next year on KWSX.